All right. I'm calling to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Warrenville Public Library District. It is Wednesday, July 19th, 2023, and it's 7 p.m. Starting on the dot. So we'll do a roll call. Trustee Lazan. Here. Trustee Pico. Present. Trustee Schmidt. Here. Trustee Warren.
Present.
Trustee Stahl. Present. Trustee DeRocher is here. And Executive Director Stuhlman and Assistant to the Director Davis and Department Heads Ian Stephen and Mary Felly Marquez. It's wonderful to have you here. Feels a little empty over there compared to last month. Yeah, I'm going to be on vacation very soon. Anyway, actually kind of already have. We're taking turns. All right, let's approve this agenda. Does anybody have anything?
I would just ask, do we need a closed session for any reason, updates on anything?
I'm not aware that we do. No, so we'll strike the.
No, that's why I asked.
Okay.
So then I move that we approve the agenda.
A second.
A motion was made by Trustee Stahl, seconded by Trustee Warren. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Any presentations? You weren't going to do any balloons for us today?
I'm still waiting.
No.
for my balloon.
Public comments? None? Any correspondence?
Nope.
Any new correspondence? All right, let's, Secretary Stahl.
Okay.
With the most important part of the agenda.
Or the majority of it, it's like. Okay, consent agenda for the evening of Wednesday, July 19th, 2023, Warrenville Public Library District. Item number A, approved minutes of the June 21st, 2023 regular board meeting. Item B, approved minutes of the June 21st, 2023 regular board meeting closed session. C, receive and file financial report for June 2023. Item D, budget and appropriation, small Roman numeral 1, adopt ordinance number 23-24-01, tentative budget and appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2023 through 2024. Roman numeral number 2, adopt certificate of authenticity for tentative budget and appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2023 through 2024. Roman numeral number 3, approve notice of public hearing on budget and appropriation ordinance.
All right. May I have a second?
A second.
I move
Okay,
that we
Please.
accept the consent agenda as read by the secretary.
Wonderful.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Trustee Picon, seconded by Trustee Schmidt. Trustee Lazan.
Aye.
Trustee Picon.
Aye.
Trustee Schmidt.
Aye.
Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Stahl.
aye.
Trustee DeRocher votes aye. Consent agenda is approved. Right, moving on.
I move we pay invoices in the amount of $84,863.42 for the period of June 22nd, 2023 through July 19th, 2023, including electronic payments and checks numbers 9461 through 9513. Check number 9488 is noted.
I'll second that.
Motion was made by Trustee Stahl, seconded by Trustee Warren. Trustee Stahl. You're voting.
Oh, aye. Sorry,
Trustee
I was
Warren.
distracted when somebody came in.
I get it. It's hard to multitask. Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Schmidt. Thank you. Trustee Pika.
Aye.
Trustee Lazan.
Aye.
And welcome Trustee Richardson. You probably shouldn't vote on this since you weren't here. And Trustee DeRocher votes aye, and so the payments are approved. Moving on to 8B.
I move that we transfer $175,000 from the commercial checking account to the operating checking account.
All right, motion was made by Trustee Pika and seconded by Trustee Warren. Trustee Stahl.
Aye.
Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Schmidt.
Aye.
Trustee Pika.
Aye.
Trustee Lazan.
Aye.
Trustee Richardson. Aye. Trustee DeRocher votes aye, so those Transfers approved. No unfinished business, new business, appointing 2 new trustees to review the secretary's records. Anybody interested in this lovely job? Except the secretary.
I've got some time.
Awesome, thank you, Rick. Anybody else?
I'll make time. I'd love to help you.
Lovely, thank you so much, trustee Schmidt. All right, so
I move that we appoint trustee Rick Warren and trustee Connie Schmidt to review the secretary's records for fiscal year 2023.
I second.
any further discussion? Anybody else want to jump in there?
I just would like to say thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Yeah, you and me.
Nobody's gonna oppose that. Thank you so much, Rick and Connie.
Yes, thank you.
All right, it doesn't take too long.
Do it at lot 5.
And Rick is fine.
Shortest meeting ever.
I think so. Let's talk to Jason about his report. Well done, Jason.
Well, thank you.
And you have anything you want to add or bring up?
Well, first, you have the sheet in front of you and you've already voted to approve the financial report. But just as a quick note, does anybody have any questions about the explanation about the financials? Just
Thank
made
you for
a
compiling it.
we were wanting to close out the building and maintenance fund, and we zeroed out the budget instead of zeroing out balance. So we just made adjustments so that the balance of the fund itself comes to zero and not the
Good.
debt. So
I'm glad
that
you
we
caught
wouldn't
that.
have to do shenanigans to fix that.
No shenanigans
For another
allowed.
year.
No,
So-
no, no.
Okay.
Who caught that?
We did, when the finances came in.
Yeah,
You're like, huh?
Why is it
Right.
working
How
out?
did this happen?
looks like it's right. Looks good on this page, but not. So for the budget summary,
So this is great news for the
It-
budget. summary.
Yeah.
is good news. I made a slight mistake, but the overall result is still the same. This is why I should do this little thing in Excel so that it does the math correctly as opposed to doing a table in Word.
Yes. Excel does math correctly.
Yes, it does. So in the top section for the corporate, under the fourth line, the budget final, under expenses, it is really $220,020 underspent, not the 278 and change. And then under the surplus deficit, instead of a surplus of $21,887, it's really $18,887. So I was.
Either way, it's a surplus.
It is, so I was
Good
sitting here,
number.
when I got here early and was looking at it and was like, something doesn't look right, so. But really, in the end, the result is the same, that in our spending out of the corporate fund, we have a surplus instead of the budgeted $229,000 deficit.
Nice.
So that is great, so that helps us moving forward. So really, the only deficit that we had was out of the special reserve.
And can we explain the underspending? Like, are
There's
we
just a lot of
buying
lines that
less materials or?
we didn't max out every single one of those lines, no. We underspent on snow removal,
Well,
thank
yay.
goodness.
We have overspent on that many times.
Despite all the salting charges that we had.
You know what, that's really good though, because I don't know that we budgeted for, I'm thinking of your position. I don't know that we actually budgeted for the services of someone to recruiting services.
No, we
We
didn't.
absorbed- So we absorbed that, still came out of that, so I think
Did.
that's.
So one of the things I think, two of the larger expenses coming in under, I believe, are salaries and insurance. So just because I keep having to remind myself since I'm new and I'm just like, oh, everything has its bins. But that's not the case. We've had a lot of changes in the last year and there was a lot of turnover in new positions.
Yeah, yeah.
So, So I think a lot of those vacancies for any length of time contributed to salary and health insurance lines being under budget. So,
We didn't have a CERT manager for a long time,
Right.
so that was part of it.
so
It's good news.
indeed. And then I know it wasn't out of the corporate, I think it was out of the special reserve, but several of the items that Duncan had budgeted, like computers or printers or things for staff or whatnot. Part of that was we budgeted so that we would have it there in case we need to do it. But it was also one of those, like, we're not gonna buy new computers if all the computers are working just fine. And all the computers survived for another year working just fine. So there was no need to go spending the money to replace the computers. So we did. So in terms of that, that is why we spent almost less than half of what we budgeted for the special reserve.
Okay.
But yeah, so good news having that. So that makes me happy moving forward. So we have roughly, I think someone asked for the meeting, we have roughly the same amount of corporate deficit budgeted for the current year, the new fiscal year. With underspent again, hopefully.
Well, I don't think we're gonna have big gaps in positions.
No, so
So,
But something could happen.
Something's
It's gotta be, you never know.
I would imagine we will be less underspent this year.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. So, which makes me glad that this year was so much.
The library is a polling place. You said you had several logistical questions. I actually really love at least the philosophical idea of this
So,
place as a polling place, but wondering what your questions are.
the questions that I emailed them were, does it require any library staffing? What space do they need? What are the hours that they need to do it?
I can speak to some of that being an election judge. First of all, they would need to be here at 5 a.m. They would need to, the polls open at 6, they stay open till 7. There needs to be a way to make sure that public doesn't have access after 7 while they're shutting everything down and tallying all the results. I don't know
Like,
whether
would they go into a room?
Right, well, the only thing is then they would need access. It used to be, the library used to be a polling place. Before we remodeled, they used this room because the hallway went down there. So the library
It was
itself could be
closed, yeah.
locked and they had access as well to the public restrooms. So the issue would be, I don't know if maybe the steam room downstairs would work, but again, they're gonna need room to set up a polling place.
Is that foyer big enough downstairs?
I
measured it out. He said I needed, so I did get a response back. So I need to follow up with it. But he said I needed 500 square feet. I'll be upstairs. Does not quite fit that. And it's also not those space that they can just put the machines. They have to move the machines to lock space.
Because my
He
issue.
didn't mention having to be here that early.
No, well, having been there, they usually have people set up starting at 5, then the polls open at 6 a.m. And since there's no place that's, I hesitate to say closed off, but again, you have, I'll just go upstairs to the library, or, either while I'm waiting for somebody to finish voting or whatever.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so the hours is my biggest concern, and then what space would work.
So you're saying that at 7 o'clock, no patrons could use the library?
no, I'm not saying no patrons, whatever the area is, like, say if it was.
Well, just the area that's
Yeah,
been
so like,
designated
if
where
it
the
was in
machines
this
are.
room, those doors could be locked so people couldn't have
Okay,
access.
when you first said it, I
Yeah.
thought you referred
Yeah,
to the
no.
whole library,
No, because,
because I would.
But Heather, this is only voting or referring to early voting, March 1 through 20th, not on an actual election day.
then it would still need to be locked then, because, so people couldn't have access to voting machines. Because they still shut down at 7 o'clock, I think,
Well,
or maybe 8, but then they couldn't, so people can't get in here and, I'm gonna play with voting machines, or I'm gonna throw a few ballots in there. So that,
So, but the early voting has
It's a
specific
long
hours.
time,
Right,
yeah.
So we
but-
could use this room.
right,
And
but then
lock
that
it.
would be like 3 weeks.
Oh.
That's what I
No,
was
it
just
says,
gonna say.
oh,
March
yeah,
1st
yeah.
through the
Well,
20th. So
that's
that,
not
this
bad.
is the ideal room to do it in. But my
But
biggest concern is That's
That
the
would
3 weeks
exclude all
of
of
story
those other
times that
programs.
can't
Yeah, but
happen.
Well, what about the steam room downstairs or that other room that's a storage room
That
downstairs?
large room that's.
That
off
we
to
met
the
in for a
side.
That
while.
would not be aesthetically pleasing.
I would not want
It would
them
be
to represent
aesthetically
the
pleasing.
library.
You just need to be sure you have enough outlets to plug all the machines in.
That might be.
I
a
don't
challenge.
know.
The other option I thought of.
For the
um,
quiet room,
Was the choir.
we just
That's
close,
not 500 square feet.
Probably not, no.
but to
I mean,
close
this is
that,
probably the only room that fits that bill, really.
but to close that for 3 weeks, you know.
Well,
I
and the
mean,
lobby would be the same way. You're talking about closing the downstairs lobby then.
Yeah,
Right.
you can't do
I
that
don't
for
think
3
that's a
weeks.
lot.
Well, I think,
Because you got,
so
the
that
other-
being in an open space, the issue then is having space to drag the machines to when they're done, so that the machines are in a locker room and not staying in the lobby from whatever until,
Oh, we could
The
stick
library
them in the storage area.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably less
Better than having
ideal.
them voting in the storage.
Heather, are they,
Yeah.
can they be moved easily every day?
It's, I'm just trying to think.
They can be taken down and removed from the desks or the tables that they'd be working. They'd have to be locked up. So
Okay,
it'd be
so they
something
would
like one
have
of
to
these rooms
provide
here.
someone to do that every single night
Yeah,
for that period of time. I just want to make sure that we're not asking library staff.
that's Sunday through Saturday.
Right, yeah, that was it sounded like from his response, the main issue is to have staff here to open up the building to them if it was earlier than our regular hours, which
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not
'cause I
super thrilled about.
Thought that early voting, even either like 7 or 8 in the morning or something like that.
I just looked on DuPage election voting rules and regulations, and it sent me to another thing for Illinois. But anyway, all over Illinois, a lot of the early voting that's reported here, that was on the last election, there's all different times. And it seems depending on the location where it is, that they could say, we will be open. I mean, I don't know how it came about, but
yeah,
one place was 8:30 to 4:30, another place is 9
Okay.
to 3. So you might be able to,
Negotiate.
That would be great.
I'm not saying that's true for
Especially if
sure.
we can
but
negotiate the Sunday hours,
yeah,
because we really wouldn't want
Might not be
to.
open at
Yeah.
8:30.
That would probably be the hardest thing is, but you know who, I think the Aurora Library used to be an early voting place, because I think I remember voting there 1 year, so I don't know if there's, you could see what other area libraries might have done it in the
So I
past.
guess my question would be, if Aurora Library is no longer in early voting, why did they back down?
Right, what were their troubles?
What did they encounter that they're no longer doing?
The awkward thing for them is since they were straddling counties, having DuPage
Yeah.
County
Yeah.
and
I
Kane.
just did, there might be other reasons too.
Yeah.
So.
Logistical reasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jason might be able to benchmark with the library director and find out what the real story
We've
is.
got a lot of time. I really like you to look more into it, because I think it'd be great if we could offer that.
He
but-
offered to come and do a site visit, so.
Well, then
he come
you
and say,
answer
I can say,
ask
here
all those
are a couple of options.
Yeah.
He'll probably be like, this room is great, and I'll be like, well, here's
No.
the issue.
Yeah, you
We
can't. have
really
that
want to
for
use this
3
room
weeks.
because they're cut off all of our programming. for 3 weeks.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't have
So I would
Sorry.
like him, if he could
that. That's a
inspect
big
the other
no.
spaces and be like, this might work, or maybe he'll just say, nope, none of these other spaces would work. This room would be the only room that would work, in which case,
Yeah, a lot.
I asked Paul and he was not enthused by the idea of
No.
closing off this room for 3 weeks.
I would just say.
I don't even-
would do the same thing.
The other option is we could make this room half,
But then it would
the
be
east and west, but it wouldn't be necessarily secure necessarily, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Well, I don't think it'd be the space they're looking for.
Probably, yeah, it would definitely not be. the 500 square
I
feet.
would just be curious why, if the Aurora Library backed out, why they did, other than the 2 counties.
Well, Aurora also has they did have an election commission too. Because there's also part of Aurora that says Will County,
Well, that's kind of,
And there's part of the word that's.
yeah,
DuPage, Will,
No.
and
I
Kane.
think Kane too.
But I think
Yeah.
they mainly concentrated on on Kane and DuPage, because for at least for the branch, I'm assuming that the main one off of like Eola Road isn't that,
Well, the main one is on,
Downtown.
yeah, it's downtown.
yeah, but when I voted at the one on Eola, the branch, they did have, oh, you're in DuPage and And it was really weird because like the DuPage area closed earlier than the Kane County.
Oh, my God.
So that was
Weird.
even confusing split.
Well, they've had dual counties served at Fox Valley and at Naperville's, what's that on the side there? That Fort Hill complex that they've got,
Oh, with the recycling.
Yeah.
recycling area. I don't think it's that building, but there's a
That
lot of
area.
buildings that are right there. Maybe that.
Fitness center.
Well, you
fitness
just go
center.
ahead and ask that guy lots of questions.
I will.
Yeah.
Like you, I am
We can
enthused
spitball all
by
night,
the
but we don't know.
concept, I just don't know if it'll actually work.
Where do people early vote now that live in Warrenville?
At the county.
At the
I go to the county.
At
The
the
fairgrounds.
I don't really
Fairgrounds
vote.
was pretty
That's a
much
big deal to me
exclusive.
to go to
That was
election.
exclusive for the,
But I think it's
Yeah.
a great service. if
you had to
we
go
can-
there.
Yeah,
There wasn't any.
Because I mean, I know that like there's some without, like I know they had one, I think in Lombard, I know they had one at the Naperville City Hall. So I mean, there were a few locations, but again, the closest one for me was obviously going to the fairgrounds too, working right there.
So we'll see, yeah, I'll follow up with
Okay.
them. and-
Let us know, please.
Anything
Um,
else?
What do y'all think of the owl?
Oh,
Owl's cool.
he's not holding a book.
He is not.
So, I like it. It's very colorful.
Yeah.
He's got a little claws down there. He could be holding a book. Just saying. We could just put a book in there.
That's true.
When he gets here.
That sounds dangerous.
Maybe a piece of cardboard with a book cover on.
A 3D printer version.
There you
the
go.
life and times of the world.
That's right.
I'd like to know what they thought that they were representing with Pegasus and Warren. A fountain, that's
Oh,
fine, but just a Pegasus, unless Mobile Oil is gonna finance the whole thing, in which case, then, well,
I have no idea.
No idea.
And my only other concern with it being metal, I mean, I thought one of the issues we had with the fountain last time was originally the city thought it was on their property and then they looked at it and
That
realized
was my
that it
question.
was on our property, which means we'd be the ones with
The
the liability.
Mhm.
The
Because
fountain is on our
remember,
property.
Yes.
Oh.
that was what I wanted to have checked from a liability standpoint. I know in your report, you said you voiced some concerns. My biggest concern is that, and those of you who've been on the board for a while will remember something called the butterfly
The
chair.
butterfly, I was gonna
Yeah.
talk about
Mm.
that. It was
So-
lovely, but kids love to climb on it, which made liability a thing. I don't know how climbable this is.
you could have electrified it.
Anything is climbable to a child.
So is it really on our property and not the?
I thought the fountain was, my question was, who owns the property the fountain is on? I would like a definitive answer on that, because it was my understanding that the library owned the property, but I could be misinformed.
There's
The
a
chair was
split.
definitely on the library.
Yes, I know that, but
Because
I
I think
don't.
they're the ones that turn it on and off and
Why are they replacing it? if it's on our-
so.
Yeah, I think it is,
Yeah,
but
Oh,
I
right.
would-
they just make that
from
decision.
Heather's point, the liability we could be opening ourselves up for. I would just,
And
If it's
stranger
going
things
on
have
our
happened.
property, then why are they deciding what goes there?
yeah,
because they always do.
right.
It's
The
kind of
city
like
comes
the
back
whole,
with-
I'll give you an example of when it came up to name this area. We requested, the city agreed that we would have the final say so as to what the name was going to be.
Yeah.
City council meeting, you had one resident stand up, city council said, that's what it's gonna be called. And that,
That
no,
doesn't, yeah,
not
No
that we,
communication.
yeah,
that doesn't mean they got ahead to this far. They just wanted to spend the money and get the sculpture, so. I
In
would-
terms of it being metal and dangerous or anything like that, it's supposed to sit on a pedestal that's about 8 feet tall. And I think most of it was all rounded edges except for the main.
Well,
She said
the
it
city
very
was
well, so.
very aware of the problems of climbing on the butterfly.
Oh, my gosh.
So I would think that they would be having that in mind, but I would ask them specifically, who owns the property that the structure's on? And are they taking into consideration, I mean, if it's not our property, we don't have to worry about liability. If it's on our property, then we have a whole new conversation. to have.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
then we
right.
have the added expense.
Right.
And again, too, then who's maintaining it?
Well, right.
Yeah,
So-
because we ran
So
into
the
that. with
the first
butterfly
question is,
chair.
who owns this property?
Okay, yeah. I just assumed by them reaching out to say that they were doing this, I just assumed it was their property.
I think they assume that too. There's been
Yeah.
some turnover there.
You kind of have to
And
watch
I
them
am
'cause
very
they try to
fuzzy on it.
bounce
I've been
us
here a
around.
long time.
I
I
am
am very
too.
fuzzy on it. So I would like a definitive answer.
I remember too, when they first proposed the fountain, I thought when they looked at it, well, it's like the line cut through it somehow. And it's like, so there was still at least part of it on our property.
That's exact, because the first thing I thought of when I read it was the butterfly chair, and then the next thing was, wait a minute, I don't think they entirely own that. So in fact, I went online and pulled the whole memo about the whole project. So I'll give it to you, Jason, because I
Okay,
printed,
yeah.
spent time printing it, but I am very concerned like Barbara. Just clarification,
Okay,
and that's, I wrote that down first thing. Who
Maybe you need
owns
to rephrase it. Who owns the entire piece of property that the structure will be?
Yes, not just half and half.
Right. I mean, like, if we own part of it, we definitely have to be involved in this. Because
And
we're
then
gonna have
do we
liability.
need-
If someone's child climbs it and gets hurt, we will be on the list
Or,
of
Well-
people to be sued.
And then does that qualify for an intergovernmental
so.
agreement as far as
Yes.
maintenance and stuff like that?
You
So,
also might want to look at the
I'm so
survey.
glad you brought this to us, because we would not have known.
yeah,
Have we been
Thank you.
billed for any repairs to
Might
the
have been.
fountain?
no.
no,
but
but
they
that
scaled it.
doesn't,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean,
And Jason, you also might want to check the survey. Because I would not necessarily trust what they tell you.
I'd ask to see the plan.
And I'll just give you another example. Recently at the county, you think everything was installed properly, but a woman sat down in one of the chairs in the gallery in the courtroom. And the welds were not installed properly. It literally folded her up inside and she went back into the back row. So, I mean, my concern, something to cite if it's not welded properly and falls off or something, again, a possibility, but I don't want to find
If
out that,
something happens and the library has any
no.
Yeah.
connection, some lawyer is going to name us in this.
Oh, because
Exactly.
it looks like there's a lot of pieces
right
on
now,
there.
that
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of
liability.
pieces, so that gives us a greater chance of something falling off.
Right. Well,
Drowning is much more common than.
And I don't want to
falling
find
off
out
the legacy.
the hard way that we have
But it is
liability for it.
No, I'm just
Amusement
saying we
park
should-
ride.
Been
Yeah.
concerned before this
That's
then.
Well, I suspect that the reason we haven't talked about it in a long time is because it turned out that we didn't have, it wasn't on our property. I think that's what we're gonna find, but I would like to know for sure.
absolutely. I will find out.
I agree with Barbara.
Sorry, my ignorance of being the new guy. I did not.
No,
New guy. All right,
we're here to make your life difficult.
The only other thing I wanted to point out was just as long as we have a quorum next month, that is great. Just on your radar that next month we'll be approving the FR report.
Are you here
Illinois
next
Public
month?
Library.
Yeah.
because we all thought that you had a Wednesday commitment, you came last month and you're here this month and.
Well, I said that we had planned on having church on Wednesday nights in the summer, but then we changed it to Tuesday, so
Oh,
because of this.
Well, there you
Thank
go.
you.
and Rick, you're not here?
I will not be here.
Yeah, you sure, Rick?
I'm sure.
You're not
Everybody
saying-
thought you weren't gonna be here this month and then you appeared.
In a red shirt.
His brother came around.
Well, his brother couldn't be
Yeah, my
here.
twin brother.
He's not.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad.
All right, well, we've got more than a
Yes,
quorum, so we're good.
Fantastic.
All right.
So I think that is all I have.
All right, does any, we're gonna move on to the director and department head reports. Does anybody have any comments about any of the department head reports?
I love the Warrenville puzzle. You purchased that? Yeah, thank you.
Yay.
I love the attendance at the programs, almost 1,300 people. I know it's the concerts, but it's still.
With the crowds, it's nice to see something good at concerts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have been
Kenny took
amazed.
a picture of me and posted it online. It's like, look, it's a board member.
With being the new guy, it's been amazing to go. Went to 2 of the concerts and just seeing how many people showed up. I was blown away.
Oh, I was
It's
too.
great.
I mean,
There
I
was,
haven't been
I think
to,
over 300 people at the one last week.
there were a lot of people and lots and lots and lots of kids playing behind the stage, you know, like in the grass. Like tons of activity back there.
And desperately trying to shoot their Nerf gun at the band.
Right. It felt like a little piece of Americana. It was really kind of cute.
Well, since that last Thursday, a lot of people, residents in my subdivision, have just, oh, that was a great concert, so they love, we need to tell Paul to get them again.
Yes, I would. like
Yeah,
to
it had
thank-
been like 5 years since they've
Yeah.
been here, so
They
they were
people
fantastic.
love that.
They made, so it was Billy Elton was the name of the band, and they were
Yes.
doing Billy Joel and Elton John songs. They played the whole first side of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road because it's the 50th anniversary of that album, and I'm like, man, I wore the grooves out of that album. And it was so great to hear that 4 times this week on Spotify. I've listened to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. And I mean, I don't remember the last time I listened to that.
It was very.
You ask Alexa to play it, and then you say repeat.
but-
And it'll play it until the cows go home, so it's. How long, Jason, maybe you know, is the food pantry donation can going to be here?
I don't know that we set a definitive deadline, but since it's Warhol themed, it'll probably be at least up through September,
Oh.
middle of September when the Warhol exhibit is over.
Okay.
But I think it's really up to us, or we could take it down for a while and put it back up again later.
It'd be nice to
We can
have
just
Yeah.
Just keep leaving it up.
They have a great idea.
Speaking of the Warhol exhibit, when you drive by later in the evening, or even, it just seems dark. It's they don't pop out at you at
Yes,
all, our
yeah.
Warhol exhibit or pictures. And it's true, that's just how they're made. It's true on other towns where I've seen them. But I've seen like a stick-on adhesive light that, I just wondered if we stood there with a flashlight and shined it, like, does it look better? And would it be, I don't know if it would make any difference, but if they were lit from behind, it might be a really cool pop. And that's,
You just put a
So would the light
lamp.
have to be on the inside shining
yeah,
out?
it's, yeah, this is your window, and the thing is, this is your window, that's outside looking in, on this side in. I mean, I don't know exactly how it would work, I'm not a mechanic, and it might be.
Well, if this
stupid
was
idea.
outside-
It's just a brainstorm thing.
You'd have the same kind of light that you'd have that illuminates an aluminum Christmas tree. You got a red, a yellow, a blue, and you could probably cycle through that if you didn't want to just have white light coming through. And that'd be probably, I think that'd be a great.
I don't know, when you see paintings, sometimes there's a little light above the painting and an art display thing.
Yes.
I don't want to spend a ton of money on it. I mean, if there was something in Amazon, $10 a piece, it might be cool. Stick on,
When Lee gets back from vacation,
battery operated,
banter that idea, but we'll see.
you know,
So the regular lighting of
Backdrop.
the library
Yeah.
wasn't sufficient
Uh-uh.
to shine
well,
through?
go, look, have you walked by, if you look at it in the evening
Okay.
hours, I just thought,
But we wouldn't leave them on when we're closed.
yeah,
They would be off at
it's just
nine.
dreary. It's just, they look dreary from outside.
How long does the exhibit stay up again? Remind me.
Mid-September.
Well, we can decide
Yeah, we own
how
it.
long we want. The overall COD exhibit is through the middle of September. I can't remember the dates, like
So
the
if we're
10th.
not, I think the idea is great, but if the library closes at 9 and sunsets at 8, we would be talking about an hour,
It may not,
unless we're gonna leave it up longer. I'm just looking at.
I can't
practical
recall, I don't
logistics.
remember when I haven't looked at it today or yesterday, but when I looked at it, I don't even remember if my was closed or open. So I'm gonna look at it when it's open.
She's talking about battery stick-on lights, it doesn't matter if they'll stay on.
But then it's just making sure, then you need an angle.
What do you
Like
think
that
the lead project?
It's just, if you think, I mean, I actually wanted to
shining
say,
down on it.
I
from
should
the
have
front,
done
from
the
outside,
flashlight
inside,
thing
I'm
in
not
the
sure
front
which.
to see if it would.
And I don't know that we can see
Yeah.
any light from the inside that's gonna make any more difference than the light that's already.
Well, you can
do directed light. I mean, even a directed light that's solar powered on the
then-
outside would be better than.
If the light, if you look at it, and library lighting, are these lights not on a timer and are they not zoned where you could leave that a little late, that area later than the rest of the library?
Do not know that.
This is probably something the book board needs to, I'm sorry.
It's something we need to deal with.
We'll
We're
look
not
into it.
taking action on this.
I promise nothing, but we'll look into it.
But it's just a thought, because I mean, if it's zoned, then
Right.
you could just have that zone. I just want to, reports point out, self-checkout, 62%.
Thank you for being the herald of that news.
I think it's amazing. And I also have to say, these reports our managers are acquiring, are putting together for us are so detailed and so much information. Jason, if you could let the entire management staff know how helpful some of that is and that
Absolutely.
we appreciate the
I
time
find it
that's
very
spent.
helpful as well.
It's just amazing to me. I don't think I ever did anything like this.
Thank you.
I have one question for Ian. Talking about a Freedom of Information Act from 6/9.
That's the data that it,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I data everything. So that's-
What kind of thing were they looking for?
Jackie, go. Freedom of information that we did back in June. Or which media group is that? That was in your.
That wasn't
report,
Big Meadows office.
No, it was in your. report,
It's not.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Well,
just
you
put
had
this back
one.
in to check it.
I just didn't have one.
Yeah, check this.
No, I haven't. had one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better business experience.
Oh, it was payroll records.
Payroll records.
They
yeah.
wanted.
Oh,
So they were the same one, the same?
Yes,
just one?
yeah. I
Okay.
applied for her,
That was
yeah.
my
She
question
was
as
the
well.
25.
I made him get the report
Yeah,
together. and
maybe
I
you didn't
said,
work. yeah.
You made that.
Well, he's in charge now, I'm not.
I didn't know.
She's
I said he compiled the information for me to submit. He
she's
did not do
zeroing
well
out the
this month,
budget.
though.
She's-
You could have helped on that one. That was bad.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Our next library meeting is next August 16th at 7 p.m. Anything else? September 18th. Been on there. Okay,
And a reminder that September, which you just voted for, will also be the public hearing for the budget.
well,
this is
very
September
refreshing.
20th. September 18th. Oh, no, September, I forgot the date. Okay. All righty. Treasurer.
We got the check for capital grant money.
And that's for the concerts, right?
No,
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 this is
Capita's from the state library.
Yeah, that's the state
Secretary
librarian.
of State.
The concerts and the common that comes from the
Tourism.
library,
Never mind.
the hotel motel grant.
I was confused. Normal.
All right. Do you have anything else to say, Treasurer?
No.
It's looking good.
Yeah. it's looking-
Excellent. Secretary? Everything looks great. All right. I don't think we had any committee meetings. Any trustee comments?
Solar eclipse next year. The library on the last one had quite an expensive.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Such
And I
a program.
have, and I'm only bringing it up because I have heard that they gave out
Glasses.
These places.
They're going to be very difficult to get this time.
Again, they were last
They
time.
were
too.
last time. So I wanted to put that on your
We
radar
planned
and
ahead and we
remind to
can't
Paul.
Okay.
And then the other thing, and I don't know enough about it, so ignorance is bliss, no, I'm teasing. Dolly Parton has some program going now with free books.
She's had that.
She's had that for a long
But
time.
it's renewed now, and I don't know whether libraries qualify, and that's what I was going to maybe ask Jason to have someone on his team look into. So it would be predominantly children's publications, so.
They send it to every child. They send books like on their birthday.
And if
or once
nothing
a
else,
month or something like that.
Maybe
Because my
Kathy-
grandson gets them.
That's
They
so
live in,
great.
they live in Nashville,
Right.
but the books are
Say
kind of like,
Tennessee usually.
like piggy type books.
But I just, if nothing else, maybe Kathy could include it, and letting people know it.
Yeah.
If we are eligible, or the people in Warrenville
Are
are eligible.
eligible, yeah.
And I don't know if they are bilingual or just, I mean, I'm, like I said, ignorant. Was half tuned into a presentation about it like that. That has some merit in my head.
Thank you. All right. Connie, did you have your hand up? No. All right. Any other trustee comments? No. All right. I think we're ready for our final motion, and you're up, Connie.
I move we adjourn the meeting. See what time it is?
7:40 PM.
7:40
Very good, yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion was made by trustee Schmidt and seconded by trustee Stoll.
And the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.